In today's video, we're going to be covering how to pack La Liga investments. So just before the video does start, a quick little ad on a trading service I offer over on Twitch. For the cheapest premium trading service for just £4, €4 or free with Amazon Prime. You'll get yourself daily trading and investing guides covering both Xbox and PlayStation with an array of different techniques depending on your budget. I've been trading for over 10 years, making over 100 million on multiple titles, and recently making over 10 million in the first month for the last 3 years. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about the La Liga players going out of packs and as a result rising. We'll be showing you the trend briefly, despite showing you every single week. We're going to be talking about what sort of players are going to go up and why are they going to go up. We're going to talk about why are some of them already inflated. And at the end of the video, as always, we are going to go and give you guys some investments. So first off, let's go and show you guys some of the players that rose out of packs last week. We can start off here with the likes of Cobble. And Cobble, before going out of packs on the Friday, was about 1.6k. He's already doubled in price, over doubled in price to 3.4k. We then have Davies, who earlier in the week was sitting at about 4.7k. He is now extinct at 10k. And then finally we end up with LaCroix, who earlier in the week was sitting at 1.5k and is now 3k. So doubling across the board, and there were loads and loads of players that doubled. But why did they do this? Now, one of the reasons they did this is because they were demanded. So Davies, one way or the other, out of packs or not out of packs, would have gone up anyway because it was used for objectives. Same with LaCroix and same with Cobble. But there are other reasons why these players could have gone out of packs. For example, them going up because they're fodder for SBCs, them going up maybe because they're being used in a generic SBC, or likewise being used for objectives or in people's teams. So the premises is that there is no increase in supply because the gold card isn't in packs if they've got a team of season card in packs. But the gold card is demanded if that's to be put into an SBC or objectives. This means that there is no increase in supply, but there is an increase in demand, which as a result the card gets rarer and rarer and rarer, and as a result becomes more and more expensive. So obviously you can't invest in the Bundesliga players because they're already out of packs. So what we are going to be doing is we are going to be investing in the La Liga players. And the prediction that I'm going to be using for Team Season is Footbin's prediction. They very rarely don't hit on, I'd say, about 80-90% of the players every single week. Their prediction is made up of Ter Stegen, Araujo, Militao, Conde, Pedri, De Jong, Valverde, Vinicius Jr., Griezmann, Benzema, Lewandowski, Ledesma, Ronaldo, Alex Balde, Mirano, Viega, Aspas, and Unal. Now, although all of them are going out of packs, they're not necessarily all good investments. So, let's go through them one by one now. Now, we start off here with the likes of Ter Stegen, and Ter Stegen is not a good investment because players that are 88 plus are just not used in anything. They're used in Icon and Hero SBCs, but there are so many 88s nowadays with the minor league team of season, the major league team of season, that they're not used for anything. The only way that an 88 would rise is if an 88 is used in, let's say, weekend league or an objective. And Ter Stegen, literally not even including special cards, you already have the likes of Courtois and Oblak. Again, there are 101 special Liga goalkeepers, so not very good. We then move to the likes of Araujo. Araujo, in my opinion, is a good little investment, if I can go and find him. Araujo is coming in right now at 1.8k. Some would say, well, that's slightly inflated. It is slightly inflated, but every single 83 at the moment is slightly inflated. If I can go and show you here, these are the cheapest 83s. The cheapest at 1.6, 1.7. Araujo at 1.8. Really isn't too bad. Bear in mind he's going out of packs. This guy is both good for objectives and he's also good for the likes of being an 83 rated fodder. The reason he's good for objectives is because Barcelona do have a lack of cheap, decent players that you could maybe use for objectives. So there's a lack of players kind of used for objectives because if we look at players that are, let's say, under 3k, because him going from 1.7 to 3k would already be a good result. You've got Fati, Torres, Rafinha. You then have got nothing in the midfield. You then move to the defence and you've got... You don't really want to be using Christensen, you don't want to be using Robertson, Bellerin's transferred, you don't want to be using Marcos Alonso, you don't want to be using Eric Garcia, and then you've got the likes of Ter Stegen. So there is just a lack of good, cheap Barcelona players, and therefore if Barcelona players are needed for an objective, brilliant. He is arguably, with maybe Dembele, one of the best cheap Barcelona players you can go and use for objectives. And on top of that, he is once again SBC fodder. So that is the first player that is really nice to invest in. Again, this going rate of 83s at the moment, unless 83s go down in price, in theory he won't go down. So we then move to the next player. We then move to the likes of Militao, but the problem we have with Militao is that he's already inflated. Now I did think there was previously a little bit of reasoning. Maybe he was up because of the XP SBC, because the XP SBC came out here, and then this is him up 3 hours later. But we can actually see that Militao before the XP SBC was 7k. Well, Militao earlier in the week was only about 5.5. which basically means right now there is 2K's worth of pre-investment on the likes of Militao, which means if we come to Friday and there's not 2K's worth of natural inflation, the card's just going to go down in price because there's more people thinking he'll do well than demanded. So it kind of come down to what are the objectives. We'll obviously get the one league one where people have to use a full Liga team. So it has to be that would have to carry him at least 2K's worth of inflation. Otherwise, again, there'd be more people invested in him, artificially inflating that price to a price higher than what there is demand on the market. If you do look at La Liga centre-backs as well, there are quite a lot of decent La Liga centre-backs. So you'd probably have to come in with him hopefully being needed for some sort of Real Madrid objective. So you can buy Eder Militao, but there are loads and loads of other investments I'm going to show you later in the day, or later in the video, that you just don't have that added risk of, are they overinflated? You know, the stuff can be inflated and still do well. It's only in hindsight will you know how much demand there is, because we don't know what the objectives are. There could be maybe someone needing Real Madrid players and Brazilian players, separate objectives, but because he ticks off both, you know, even though he's up 2K, he could be extinct at 11. It all comes down to demand on the Friday if he goes up or down. Whereas other cards like a Ratio really shouldn't come down to too much of the demand on Friday. 83s could go down, which may drop him, but it wouldn't be anywhere as bad as maybe 2-3K we might see on the Eder Militao, which we have seen, by the way, for other players, where they've been more inflated going into Friday and then dropped when not needed on Friday. So that is the very complicated Eder Militao investment out of the way. We then move to the likes of Condé. Condé does have the same sort of problems that if we go look at his price on Friday, he was coming at 3.5k. He was already up 700 coins, but then after the SBC, he did go up yet another 700 and is not down in price since. I probably would also hold off a Condé at the moment, unless he goes down to maybe 4k. These cards later in the week can definitely go down via, I don't know, maybe just packs being open really. Maybe we're going to get some tradable La Liga packs and so on and so on. But yeah, I wouldn't want to touch these cards. At the moment, he is inflated 1.5k on an 84, which again would look like he'd go down on Friday unless needed excessively. But then move the likes of Pedri. Pedri's looking very, very good in my opinion. If we can go and find where Pedri is, there we go. Pedri coming in right now at 6.8, 6.9k. Going rate of an 85 is about 6.4k. If they're needed just for an upgrade SBC later in the week, they're probably going to hit 7, 8k. So he's looking very, very safe in my opinion. 6.9k, almost guaranteed a team this season because I think he's a very fan favourite amongst the La Liga. His utility obviously comes in being needed for upgrade SBCs. Yeah, he can be used for Barcelona objectives, but in the end of the day, he's not that amazing of a card. I think he's way more SBC fodder than he is objective fodder. We then move to the next one, Frankie de Jong, just too high rated in my opinion. Goretzka did do okay out of packs this week, but I'd say if you look at Bundesliga centre mids, I think there's only about 4 or 5 mid-tier ones, whereas you look in the La Liga and there's probably about 20 odd. You know, you've got both those Kokes, you've got Valverde's, Modric's, Pedri's got 2 special cards that are cheap, whereas when you look in the La Liga, I think they literally just had, well, they have an Emre Can, so you know, they're really, really lacking in the Bundesliga when I did my research the other day. So, wouldn't touch de Jong. Valverde, another one who's very, very inflated already. If we go look at his Friday price, it was coming in at 3.7, already up to 5.2. It's nearly 2k more than what other AC4s are going for. Unless he goes down to maybe 4k later in the week, or maybe 4.5k max, I wouldn't really want to be touching this card. I do think it's overinflated. Once again, there are plenty of sentimients in the La Liga that are decent and cheap. It's maybe just if you specifically need a Real Madrid player for the objective, would he do well? But again, another card that I think is just too inflated. We then move to the next one, which is Vinicius Jr. You'd never believe it, also very inflated. Friday, he was only going for about 12k, whereas we look today, he's up to 16. Now what's quite interesting is he did kind of fluctuate down here to 14.5. Still not really low enough. I'd say maybe 12, 13 would be good. But again, what you got to understand is the more these cards are inflated, the more chance they do drop on Friday, because you've kind of got to there's got to be that level of demand. Otherwise, the artificial inflation is going to be higher than the actual demand, and the cards are just going to go down in price. We then move like to Griezmann, and then you get to Griezmann, same price as a Ratio. At the moment, not really any risk. Pretty highly likely to get a team in the season. So yeah, Griezmann, very, very nice, easy cards to go and mass invest in. Benzema and Lewandowski, just too high rated. Like 91s that aren't used for anything in FIFA apart from Icon SBCs and Player SBCs. Every Player SBC, par a few each month, have very low demand. Icon and Hero SBCs just have very low demand. They're not repeatable. They're only requiring like 300k's worth of fodder, of which people mostly have. Then we move on to these. Now, obviously, the substitutes are less kind of certain than the bench than the actual starting 11, because well, that's the reason they've been put into substitute. So there is a lower chance, I guess, of these guys getting a team of season. With Everinildo, something like 600 coins is okay. He's okay for generics, nothing too amazing though. Then get to Mirino, exact same thing with Mirino. The only problem with Mirino compared to Griezmann and the likes of Arachio is he's arguably got a lower chance of getting a team of season. 1.6, great for generic SBCs. I think some of the generic SBCs we've seen him do recently, there you go, 3.2, 2k there. I mean, it's not amazing compared to the 1.6, but yeah, it can do really well if you get lucky with generic SBCs. And once again, he is literally sitting at the bottom price of SBC fodder, which is brilliant. We then get to Viega, not going to do anything as a 61 rated out of packs. Aspas is okay. I imagine it'll be the exact same as Pedri, where he's sitting a discard about 6 point. Well, literally the cheapest 85 in the market, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, literally sitting at one of the cheapest 85s on the market. Can be good for generic SBCs, can be good for the guaranteed team of season SBCs. We've seen 85s be needed about twice, I think, in the last 2 weeks. So there we go, another player. And that is all she wrote, because Now is not amazing. It's just a non-rare striker from Getafe. So that's going to wrap it up. That is me covering every single player in the prediction. The idea is you go and buy them now, and if they're up really nice in the pre-Hyper Friday, sell them then. Because like I've been saying all video, the more players are up on the Friday, the higher the chance they drop. If not, what you can do is you're going to wait for a upgrade SBC to go and sell the high rated. The low rated that we say might be good for objectives, such as maybe like a Reikio, such as, I mean, if Valverde, Vinicius Jr. for some reason drop, you're going to get sell them 48 hours after. So you're looking to sell them on the Sunday. Seems to be when the Bundesliga guys have all peaked. But that is going to be in that. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and I shall see you guys later today and tomorrow with more investing videos.